So here we are, I moved. And right off the bat, I'm just going to say those Thomas shelves were freaking heavy. And I don't want to move them again, but we'll see. One good thing that actually came out from moving was that I made a lot of mistakes designing my first Thomas room. And it was very nice to start all over again. This time, my strategy was going big to small. So my first task was to locate all the big shelving units that I had. So here I am trying to get the shelves diagonally to the wall. And as you guys can see, I lack common sense. What am I even doing with the empty space behind those shelves? I don't know, but here I am going all in, all pumped up, and getting the shelves together. Looking good? Yeah, good. Clueless of what's ahead, I'm trying to get all the shelves together. Back then, my thought process was if I put all those shelves, and at least I'll have more space to organize. Well, we'll see how that goes. After installing the shelves, I started cleaning so I could display my toy boxes, and not so long afterwards, then this is when I realized I messed up, and I tried to move these shelves to the other side. Come on, you got this. Just a bit more. Not really. How do I feel right now?
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, and you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Well, after going through the pain of moving one shelf, I had another one waiting for me which I didn't film, but it wasn't pretty. That's all I'll say, and to save you guys some time, here we are. My next step of designing was to reduce all the clutter, so I have more workspace, so I decided to install my signages first. This was the easiest task, but just make sure you don't breathe into those powders. I mean, you can if you really want to, but I would not recommend it. Here I'm hooking the sign right next to the bookshelf, but later on I realized I could utilize those space, so I moved it over here. As for the clickety-clack signage, my first attempt was skewed to the side, so later on I centered it out. Well, what can I say? The next step was the most enjoyable process for me. So my niche of collecting is 90s wooden railway. So while I was setting up these shelves, I wanted just enough space to display all of my 90s on a single wall. The first shelving is the most important part in my opinion, and as you guys can see, you really got to measure up accurately, because if you start bad, you'll end bad. But it's kind of like if you miss the first buttonhole, you'll never manage to button up, so first I used L brackets and tried to use wall tape to set it up, and kind of played around till it looked parallel. After confirmation, I started drilling them up and kept on going to the next. One of the big challenges were these lumbers were not that straight, so I had to play around a lot and the heights were all different. To optimize space, I would use the tallest item and give it just enough space for it to fit in. I was glad I got to redo this part because previously I was stacking my destinations and trains and it didn't really look good in my opinion. Also, logically it doesn't make sense at all. You don't see windmills just stacking on top of each other or trains going on top of each other as well. Actually that doesn't sound right, but anyways, I wanted my destinations, tracks, and accessories to be on the bottom two shelves, not stacked. So I played around a lot. Initially, I was trying to do 92 stuff on the left and 94 on the right, but realized it doesn't really look good when you separate them. So after a moment of silence thinking, I decided to do destinations on the left, accessories on the middle, and tracks on the right. Honestly, who cares about tracks? Well, I guess I actually do care, but anyways, it took some time to get all the shelving, so here's the final result. So this is something I really wanted to talk about. As a collector, I know for a fact none of my friends nor any of my family member have the same connection that I do on Wooden Railway. But instead of roaming on for why I love collecting Thomas and talk about minor differences and everything, I want to show them a good display and show them why it's cool. And this is why I'm making this video. Show, don't tell. As a fan of the Wooden Railway, I really want a lot more people to start collecting, but I also want to emphasize that pressuring someone into it is not the way to go. If they ask, instead of explaining everything, just lightly tell them why it's cool and let them find out. And after they get into it, then you can start talking. But this is an ongoing project. Next week, a new clickety-clack shelving unit is going to come, and I plan to assemble it and put it on the left corner of this wall. And afterwards, I plan to put all my toy boxes up and start working on my 2000 to 2017 display on this wall. I'll not do a room tour again until next year, but thanks for listening in and have a wonderful day, guys.